In this video, I will briefly describe central tendency and the three most common measures of central tendency: the mean, median, and mode. Central tendency is a fairly simple concept. If a variable is normally distributed, as shown here, this means that values most commonly occur around the center of the distribution, which we can easily see in this picture. It's the reason for the peak frequency occurring in the center of the distribution. This is central tendency in a nutshell. It's often helpful to describe the central tendency of a particular variable's distribution with numbers. Mean, median, and mode are the most commonly used measures of central tendency in that order. Remember, if we're describing a variable for a whole population, the mean, median, and mode are parameters. If we're describing a variable for a sample of a population, the mean, median, and mode are statistics. Say that we have these values for a variable from members of a sample. The graphical distribution of the values would look something like this, with the most common values occurring in the middle. We use the formula shown here to get the mean of our variable's distribution. The x with a bar over it symbolizes the mean. To the right of the equal sign, the numerator specifies that we're going to add up all the values of x from our first observation, where I equals 1, to our last observation, where I equals our sample size, or n. Then we divide this sum by our sample size. If you are not used to seeing the x sub I notation, all that it means is that we're identifying each value with an x and a subscript, where the subscript ranges from 1 to our sample size, which in this case is 13. So if we add up our values, we get 89. Then we divide 89 by our sample size, which is 13, to get our mean. In this case, our mean is 6.85. The median is the middle value of our distribution. We can find the median by putting all of our values in order, which we have already done here, and finding the middle value. In this case, since we have a total sample of 13, our median is the 7th value, which coincidentally happens to be 7. The mode is the distribution's most common value. Here, I've tallied the count for each number. 1, 2, and 4 each show up one time. We have 2 6s and 3 7s. We have 2 8s, then one each of 9, 11, and 13. Since we have more 7s than any other number, our mode is 7. When we have a normal distribution, all three of these measures of central tendency are going to be around the same value. This is because we know that in a normal distribution, values for a variable tend to cluster around the center. The mean, median, and mode tell us where exactly that center is.